when should I add X strat? When should I add 3-meter skip? When should I add, I don't know, guess jumps, floating block skip, etc.? You gotta remember that when no pause storage existed, I was already, like, the world record holder in no major glitches, and I quickly got world record in no pause storage. Like, and, when Mindy Skip got found, it was so long ago that it was before strats like, like Skydive, actually, that's a good example. Any strats in sandwich driving, and just little optimizations here and there. What people need to realize is that you can go a very long way without adding something. Of course, it does get to a point where it's like, okay, why aren't you doing this when you have, like, this time? But seriously now, right? Let me just put it into perspective for you, okay? Right? So, my time is 1 flat 49, and I absolutely can go lower. I can get a 3x, or if I get a really, really good run, I can get a 2x. But even if we just restrict it to the 49, the 1 flat 49, even though it is not fully up to date with the strats and everything, like, people are so desperate to, like, add 3-meter, and they have, like, a 115 or something, right? But here's the thing. Like, if you have, like, a high 115, you're 15 minutes off the world record, and 3-meter saves 1 minute out of those 15, and let's be real, at a 115, you're probably not getting those jumps super consistently, and that's the thing. You can just not do 3-meter skip at all and still get a 101, which would easily put you in second place. Of course, at that point, you obviously should be doing 3-meter skip, but it goes to show how little time save that truly is in the grand scheme of things, because what actually matters is movement and consistency, right? Those are by far the most... And as a runner who, I would go, like, several weeks, sometimes even a few months without any time saves, and I would just be running against, the same splits, using the same strats, but I'm still getting these faster exit times, these best ever split times, these golds, because that is improving movement and consistency, because that is most important. Of course, other runners have, I guess, the luxury of not having to get to that point, where they don't have to just be like, well, there's literally nothing to add, so I'm just gonna, like, I don't know, I'm just gonna run it, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing, and then, I don't know, get a 10-second PB after, like, a month or two. Like, they don't need to do that, but, like, and obviously there are some things that are more worth adding than other things, but I still very much cannot emphasize enough just how little you actually need a lot of these strats. You could still get 1 flat without monster skip. It'd be pretty fucking hard, but you still could. You can get 103 without rubber dub skip, and that's also ridiculous, but again, you can, like... Okay, there are 3 strats that I feel like are worth adding kind of early, depending on, I don't know, well, one of them is a bit iffy, but 2 strats in particular that I can think of that you generally want to aim to implement early are, steamed early, and, fuck, what was the other one? Short-term memory loss. Okay, well, let's just stick with steamed for... Oh yeah, rubber dub skip. But let's just stick with steamed for now. So it saves over 20 seconds. I'm not sure exactly how much it saves. Like, let's just say without... what's it called? Without bounceless. Because I feel like ever since... Because bounceless used to save like 7, and now it saves like 2.5 to 3 seconds. So now I feel like it... And it changes like the route that you do. So I feel like it's kind of not that worth it anymore. But like steamed early itself is pretty goddamn worthwhile, I would say. I don't know how much it saves, like 25 maybe. That's a lot of time. For that, like, you gotta factor a lot of things, right? How many times do you need to do that strat? Most of the time it's 1, but if it's, something in sandwich driving or rubber dub, it might be 2. So if it's 1, and then if it's early in the run, is there any RNG to it, right? Is there anything else you could be adding instead? Are you still at a point where you can still pretty comfortably PB by it a lot? Are you playing on OG? And if you are, then are you doing buffers? Like, because, you know, buffers improve consistency so drastically that you can get to that point sooner of needing to implement more strats. So, you know, it's hard to... But, you know, Steamed, even though, again, like, you still don't need it for a while, but, like, I think every 109 has Steamed early. I would be surprised if any of these didn't have Steamed early. And these times almost definitely have Steamed early. I'm not sure if Curtis's has Steamed early. But, yeah, from every run from, like, 112 onwards has Steamed early, which kind of implies, like, yeah, this strat is easy. That's the thing, like, the difficulty relative to the amount of time that it saves as well is a huge thing. Because, like, okay, yeah, like, 3-meter skip saves more than twice as much, but I would argue it's more than twice the difficulty, because, well, it is just a lot harder, but it's also, like, a trick that you do for a long period of time. It's much later in the run, you know. And here's another thing as well, in my opinion, is that it should be quite rare to miss whatever you're doing. Unless obviously you're at the top level and it just gets to a point where you get something like 70% of the time, it's like, okay, well, I basically have to add it because there's such little time save anymore. But when it comes to, like, again, like, I would say, and another thing that people ask me as well is, like, what time should I even be aiming for? What time should I even be looking to get starting out in no pause storage? And that's, again, that's very hard to answer because are you on 360, you're on OG, and if you're on OG, are you doing buffers? Are you doing rub-a-dub skip? But, like, I feel like, you know, like 115-ish or sub 115 is a good initial time to go for probably. And then I would say, and then another good time to go for is like, because my first ever like time in this category was like 112 something. So if you can like beat that, that'd be good. And then obviously 109 is like the big one. 109 is like the big time. So, in my opinion, it's good to have like short-term goals as well. Like, let's say you have like a 121 and it's like voice crack, and then it's like, well, what is a good like short-term goal? Probably like 118 or something, right? And then like 115, and then like 112. You know, but like I think a good initial long-term goal to go for is 109. So then you probably be thinking like, well, what strats do I do for a 109? But again, it's like, well, there's a lot that you can do. There's a lot you can do for a 109, and there's a lot that you don't need to do for a 109. My 107.34, I think that was the first, like, really, really good time in no pause storage. It was, like, as optimized as every other cat. Well, you know, at the time, I don't think I'd played Hundo, really, but it was, like, as optimized as the NMG time. The 107.34 was really good. That run was so old that it was before Skydive. So, you know what I mean? Like, obviously, at that point, you should probably be doing Skydive, but again, it just, like, it really puts into perspective, like, but I would, and getting back to a point I was talking about earlier, it should be shocking to miss something. That's how consistent you should be, ideally getting something. Here's the thing, right? I've been part of this community for so long. When I joined, you know, at the time, any percent world record was a 138 by Cole. Then it was, you know, fast forward a little bit, then it was a 132.52, I think, by Cress. And then it was 131.10 by Cress, right? So with that in mind, like, I was adding stuff. My perspective of when to add things was completely different from how it would be for runners now. But I can still give you some insight. Like, I didn't add guest jumps until, like, 132, I think. I didn't add monster skip until 133, although I did do that too late. I added floating block skip at 139, which was definitely way too early. I added BBBH jumps at, like, 142, I think? I added 3-meter skip at, like, I don't know, like, 138 or some shit. I will tell you that I know that Cornbread doesn't do monster skip, which I am a little surprised by. But yeah, I would say, like, after you're done, like, you know, learning the beginner strats and doing a few runs, then I would say, like, the next thing to add would either be Steamed Early or Rubber skip. And then just learn the other one after you've fully implemented that one. Obviously, Rubber skip is, like, a huge fucking obstacle, though. But by the time you get 109, like, yeah, you should already be doing it, like, probably. Definitely, actually, yeah, you should already be doing it by the time you get 109. But, like, I don't know, around, like, a 115 is probably when you want to start considering it, but again, it's a very hard question to answer. When you should add something is essentially when you get it consistent, and that's another thing that you gotta understand with, like, consistency. First of all, people call things free way too often, or even just easy. If you're getting something 80% of the time that is not free, even like 85% of the time is not free, over 90% is free. 85% I would not call free. You could call it easy for sure, but free? Like, no. Like, a 15% effective 15% chance to miss something is high when you're pairing it with so much other stuff before and after that you get like 90 or less % of the time. So, and what I would like, people implement 3-meter like really early, 3-meter skip. In my opinion, you should never ever even be capable of losing time to it before you implement it. Because keep in mind, your consistency with a trick in runs is almost definitely going to be worse than in practice because of nerves and just how much stuff you need to do before and after it. You are, like, if you're getting something like 85% of the time in practice, you're probably getting it like 70 to 75% of the time in runs. Everything is automatically harder in runs. So, and again, you should, like, if you're losing a fucking minute compared to perfect 3-meter jumps, you probably shouldn't be doing them, because, like, you're only jumping up the slide for, like, 20 seconds. Like, how could you be losing a minute in addition to, like, the 20 seconds that it should take to get up the slide, you know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't be losing that time. Now, don't get me wrong, you don't need to, you know, you don't have to be like, oh, I have to miss only, like, 3 jumps. Like, no, you don't have to do that. But you should never, ever be in a position where it's possible for you to lose time compared to not doing the trick. That is just not worth it then. Like, those nerves are eventually gonna get to you, and it's just gonna fuck you up, right? It's also good to just practice stuff on the side, but obviously not to go too ham with it. If you're, like, significantly extending your practice sessions, then obviously, then it's, like, you're distracting yourself from the practice that actually matters, you know, the stuff that you're doing in runs. That's another thing as well, is that people just don't practice enough in general. I would say that for, like, it's probably true for a lot of speed games, but at the very least, I can tell you that's true for movie. It's not true. It's not true for SM64 though. They fucking practice like 10 hours to add a fucking. Oh my god! I reduced lag here. I saved like 20 frames, bro. Fucking practice it for like 10 hours because I need to relearn this movement because it makes this area like the worst fucking thing in the world because the camera's so abysmal. But I saved like 20 frames, bruv. Anyway, it's actually true as well. Like when I was learning, like in like WOMS 100, I was like. I implemented, this, like, camera change that reduced... It literally saved, like, 8 frames. And I would lose, like... The number of runs that would die there went from, like... Again, probably like 10% chance for runs to die. That's literally like 40. That's a good example of sometimes when it's not worth implementing something. Like, I spent like a while, probably like an hour, like, getting used to that movement, because like, the camera angle just, like, makes... It just makes, like... It just makes the turn terrible. And... yeah, like, obviously that wasn't worth it. Like, again, the amount of time as well that is worth dedicating to something relative to its time save. Obviously, rub-a-dub skip requires a lot of attention. 3 meter, you can practice that quite a lot. I think it can also be an alright option for, like, if your run is, like, kind of dead. It can be a decent option for that as well. Floating block skip, I honestly... without a buffer, you probably just shouldn't be doing floating block skip, like... I don't know, it kind of depends, like... because that shit still saves, like, 30, so it is a lot, to be fair, but, like... 30 is, like, 2 rub-a-dub skip misses, but at that point, like... well, you should never be doing it without a buffer if you're on OG. That's, you know... but, you know, there's a lot of stuff. Alright, well, to put this into perspective, right? Of, like, how little you actually need a lot of these strats, right? Long before rub-a-dub skip, I got a 105.59 and the run was really good. 105.59, so if you convert that, like, let's do a rub-a-dub skip conversion, right? That is, like... well, it is at least 102.5x. And if you look at the boards, no one else has a 102. So my run, my 105... well, Oofster would have beaten it. Oofster's time is not... his skill is way better than this time, but let's just axe Oofster from this hypothetical for now, because he never got, like, a good time for his skill level with rub-a-dub skip, to be fair. So, again, let's just remove Oofster from the equation, and let's just look at everyone else. That time was from mid-2021. If you just literally took that time, added 2 good rub-a-dub skips to it, it would still be the world record to this day. 4 years later, and it would still be the world record to this day. Not by very much, but it would still be the world record to this day. That is before Spiral Skip, which is quite easy relative to the time save, especially if you have the practice mod. Quick Chris, actually, I don't know if it was before Spear Boost, but, you know, Quick Chris. With fucking, what was the other one I was thinking of? Well, it was before Token Deaths, but that's kind of debatable, and, you know, fucking Sunday Jump, you know? Also, that's another, like, it is pretty obvious, with certain tricks that you shouldn't add them for a long time, like, Quick Chris, Spewer Boost, Fast Sandwich Out of Bounds, yeah, the Token Deaths, yeah, no, fucking Creek, not Creek, what's this shit called? Fucking Truck Skip. I feel like at this point, like, you should pretty much never be doing truck skip unless you're literally going for, like, Frogfish World Record or some shit. Like, honestly, it's not worth it. Especially with how you need to, like, count your loads now and everything. I would also say that, like, practically nobody should be doing the Creek token, like, unbuffered. Of course, it is still up to you to ultimately decide what, like, you should and shouldn't be doing. But I'm telling you, like, even though I have like, a biased, different perspective from other people, like, again, like, I still feel like I am probably the arguably best person that could be telling you this. You should, like, almost never be doing... Again, like, when I talk about all these things, either you really shouldn't be doing them until, like, a very high level or world record level, or just even ever, but... you know, like... and also, you could be watching this video, like, 5 years in the future and being like, oh, Purple, you silly fool, everybody's doing Fast Sandwich Out of Bounds now because it's so easy, bruv. But, like, I'm having to talk about, like, the expectations and standards for the present. Because here's another thing, right? Here's another way of looking at it. In battle, you guys probably know what hammer skip is, right? Where you, like, manip the hammer in JF to go on the rock, you jump on him, and then, well, preferably get a 1-frame damage boost off of him. That was a 2016 world record exclusive strat. And slowly but surely, everyone else started adding it, especially, like, I think, like, post-SBA. I think, like, everybody does it now. But, like, again, it was, like, pretty exclusively, like a world record strat, and then it turned into, like, a top-level strat, and then, like, high-level strat, and then, yeah, it just kept going like that. There could be a day where, like, a lot of people are doing fast sandwich out of bounds, but, like, this shit, you should not be doing this until right now, in my opinion, until going for at least, like, a 101. Like, this shit, like, this this adds, like, so many resets to your run session. It sucks. Bounceless, you should probably be looking to add that at, like, the intermediate level. Like, again, it's really hard just because, like, it is worth, like, trying things in practice. And that's another thing as well. There is so much time that you can pick up from just minor stuff. Because you're like, oh, but I simply must add BBBH slide jumps because I have no time save brev. And it's like, well, are you upgrading car wheel here to save frames? You know? Are you doing buffers? Are you... like, have you learned, like, the fast throwing through cycle? I feel like that's pretty, you know, easy, in my opinion. Generally, I have to add things, like, as soon as they get discovered, because most things are, like, intermediate-ish level, so at that point, it's like, oh, well, I would have already been doing it. Oh, wait, hold on, Here's another thing that I don't think anybody ever tries it, but I like it. Once you got rubber dub skip down, I think it's worth trying this. I really don't think it's hard. Because, like, you get, like, pretty much the same amount of speed compared to if you jump fully back. So, I'm not gonna call it, like, a free time save or anything. You have to, like, adjust the camera afterwards. But after you get comfortable with the trick, I feel like this is a pretty easy time save to implement, and it saves, like, over a second. You should not even be attempting the one-frame jumps in Rubber Dub 2 for a long time. You will so often be losing, because even attempting it quickly and missing it, you're still losing, like, 2 seconds compared to not even trying it. And there's no point, because you're losing that 2 seconds, like, all the goddamn time. And even in those rare instances where you don't, you're probably not at such a high skill level with that, like, 5 seconds of time save at, well, it'd be like 7. Without like 7 seconds of time save, is actually going to be significant to you PBing. So I would really say that you shouldn't even really be attempting them for a long time. Other things to factor as well. If you're not doing sandwich out of bounds, then when during the backtracking, you should be doing it as late as possible. You should be prioritizing rubber dub skip for a long time. You know, upgrading at the end of We Need to Be Fair, that's a bit more tricky. Skydive. The pause strat and skydive is pretty worth it. I would even say at, like, the beginner level, it might be worth it, because it really isn't hard with the pause strat, I feel like. But definitely at, like, the intermediate level, you want to be doing that shit. The second super jump in rock slide is kind of eh. And then, obviously, you got, like, cutscene skip. Like, I don't know, like... Bungee Bowl, you should probably just not think about Bungee Bowl. Some people like doing the buffer here. I think it's worth at least, like, trying doing the buffer here to get across. I don't like it. It does save frames, but I don't like having to rely on the lag. I find just doing toilet skip to be easier. But if you have enough to upgrade throw, toilet skip only saves, it only saves, like, 6 seconds compared to just having upgraded throw. Otherwise, it loses quite a bit more, to be fair. Probably like 12 or something, but I don't actually know. I think you should probably, like... You could probably get away with not doing toilet skip until you get to the point where you just don't have enough to, like... To upgrade throw at the beginning, because that's when you actually... But even then, you don't need to do it. You could do the buffer if you want. There is, like, the strat here, like... The SCDA out of bounds strat, where it's like most people will just drown themselves and then they'll just get damaged by the fog. I think it's worth at least, like, trying the car wheel double jump to the swinger, but I understand that could be a bit fucky. The out of bounds itself actually doesn't save a ton, but because of the moves, that can be an issue. I think it might even be worth it at the very beginner level. it might, like, if you're really struggling with this, you might even be able to, like, go the casual way, because it doesn't, again, it doesn't lose that much, really, in the grand scheme of things. And again, we get 3 meter. I fucking hate invisible crates, but I don't know, it's something to consider at least. But again, with this, like, you should not ever be in a position where it's possible for you to lose time compared to not, like, I missed 1 jump, so I'd save, like, 59 to 58 seconds. Like, that's a lot of time. This, floating block late is much harder to justify compared to 3K. I would say you should probably wait a while before adding that one. Here's another thing as well with, like, small time saves. You should, like, because this really isn't hard, like, you should try this out, like, well, you can't, if your movement is too good, then you'll get fucked, so you need to, like, purposely burn frames, but, yeah. This is pretty fucking easy, and there's no reason to, like, not attempt the token frame here. What you want to do, like, as soon as Dennis is dead, well, not dead, but you know what I mean. We just always say that, you know, with boss fights and stuff like that in games. Even if they don't die, we're always like, yeah, when they die. So, just, like, from here, just keep spamming A and start. Because if you spam A and start, at the very least, you have an opportunity. There's no downside to attempting it. It's not like other tricks where it's like, oh, if I miss this, I'll get checkpointed really far back and my run, like, basically dies, or I'll lose ice physics glitch, you know, stuff like that stuff isn't, you know, as soon as Dennis's health goes to 0, there's no reason not to just spam A and start, because you want to open the menu after grabbing the token anyway. But even if you fail, then, well, you just sit through the token, and, like, there's no reason. There's literally no downside to trying it. And this also applies to Dennis 2. Although Dennis 2 is a little... Dennis 2 takes longer to process, or to initiate the cutscene after defeating Dennis, so Dennis 2 is, like, effectively easier if you're doing that. Consistency is also important. Sometimes it's worth slowing down. It can be worth slowing down. Like in a floating block, for example. Like, especially SCDA floating block and SCDA sponge ball, it can very well be worth slowing down, as long as you're consistently slowing down, so that your muscle memory is used to it. But I would recommend at least trying the fast throwing through cycle, as long as you're not, like, a beginner. Because, I don't think it's hard. Well, getting zapped there, you might get zapped there, but you can literally just jump over the thing. Also, cartwheeling. This actually, admittedly, can be slightly tricky, but, yeah. Sunday, spiral skip is a big one to consider at the intermediate level, as long as you have the practice mod. If you have the practice mod, it is really not very hard to learn. Without the practice mod, I would not recommend it for quite a while, because it is such a pain in the ass. You really want to be paying attention. I know this video is all over the place, but you seriously really want to be paying attention to, like, what wires you're going on in Gask. People are losing, like, I remember before a runner just couldn't be asked to, like, learn the pattern in Gask. And they were literally losing, like, 10 seconds. I'm not even exaggerating. They were literally losing, like, 10 seconds. So, that's another thing as well. Just making sure that, like, what you're already doing is sound. You know, it's basically just a thing of, like, movement and consistency are the most important. And obviously there are some things that you should be implementing sooner than other things. Like, I would say that the GGC is, like, pretty... Well, here's a pretty easy strat there. But, and then other things, like manipulating the Merv by going behind the wall, or in front of the wall for a couple seconds so that he never shoots the targets, like, that's... I mean, even fucking box stay here, it doesn't lose that much. You know, if you were to die here, then obviously box stage is gonna be faster, so that's something to think about. But yeah, I would recommend at least, like, considering, if you're on OG, considering implementing GGC, not this as a sponge glide, but GGC, like, fairly early. because it doesn't, I mean, it saves a lot. It's hard to say exactly how much it saves, because if you go the regular way, there are strats that you could be doing that you probably wouldn't do, like the ball boost. So it's hard to say how much it saves. I want to say like 30 seconds, but I don't actually know. But here's the thing. It saves even more than that, because then you can do ball storage in plank instead. Which saves an additional, I don't even know how much, like 8 seconds or something, I don't know. So then it's effectively, so plank, the guitar glide clip in plank saves a fuck ton, easily over 30 seconds. Probably more. So, like, I would recommend that at the intermediate level for sure. Sponge glide is quite hard to justify, to be honest, even though it also saves a lot in its own right. Fairly easy strat you can do in Knucklehead, where, instead of, like, just spamming, like, because normally here you hold the R trigger and the A button, and you just keep spamming B. If you press select before Mindy's, you don't even need to hold it, you just press select before Mindy's text box appears, like, it'll prioritize the upgrade menu instead. You know, that saves like 2.5, 3 seconds. A pretty easy time save, so you would have already held select here, and then I would have held it again and already let go. Like, I think initially, just doing it the slow way is, like, completely fair, but then, like, after you, like, after you get the muscle memory for the inputs, like, then it's worth considering, you know. And then there's some stuff in Neptune. Again, this video is super all over the place, but, like, there's technically no exact right or wrong time. Well, there are, in extreme circumstances, right and wrong times to be doing something. But, like, the answer is basically just when you get it, like, pretty consistent. That's basically the answer. But you also don't want to be, like, grinding the absolute fuck out of something so hard that it's like getting in the way of how much you're doing runs and normal practice. So, you know, like Bulldozer saves a lot, but it's like doing it twice combined, I don't know, I mean, that's probably saving like 28 to 30 seconds, like it's saving a lot, but it's also, you really don't need it. Like, you really don't need it. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, like, just, how early is it in the run? Like, how many times do you need to do it? Is there any luck element to it whatsoever? Like, does it add or remove loads because that could affect your Mindy skip counter thing? It probably won't really matter that much, but it's something to consider. Like, you know, did I already say, like, when is it during the run? I probably already did. But, like, how often do you miss it? And if it is the kind of trick where, like with 3 meter, where the time save can, like, significantly range, like, you know, what are you getting on average? You know, you can get away with not doing, like, so much stuff, right? Like, imagine, like, no 3 meter skip and then no rub-it-up skip. Well, my time is, like, high, like, very high 104. So, and then remove, like, quick Chris and spew boost. But I'm still, like, I don't know, like, I'm easily still in the top 10. Like, granted, this is mostly just because I'm doing weekly streams now, but because the 3K token deaths are so bad, and because I'm only playing the game, well, streaming the game, like, 5 to 6 hours a week, I just dropped Truck Skip and, I dropped Truck Skip and Creek, Unbuffered Creek token frame. And, yeah, combined, I'm losing, like, 2 seconds, but it's also, maybe a tiny bit less, maybe, like, 1.8. But I really don't regret it at all. If you don't have that much time for runs, then I seriously think that, you know, even dropping stuff, you know, and that's another thing as well. If you downgrade a strat, how much is the consistency increasing by, and how much time are you losing? Like, let's say, you were just, like, immediately gunning to the plank bungee without manipulating the move at all, and you're also not, like, avoiding its spawn at all by doing the bash boost off the spikes. You're not doing any of that. You literally just going in raw, and the move shoots the target and is sometimes fucking you up. Compared to waiting behind the wall until you hear the move's missiles shoot. You're only losing like 3 seconds, and you're making it go from like, okay, I mean, you still could fuck a bungee, like, yeah, sure, but like, you're making it way easier for 3 seconds of time loss, you know what I mean? Like, what if, like, by not going as ballsy in Neptune, like, trying to make it to crabs as soon as possible, because every time Neptune, like, does a shot, but you're not, like, it's wasted because you weren't by crabs, you lose, like, I think it's, like, 2.5 seconds, like, 2 to 2.5 seconds, so, but if you have to be so ballsy to even get there that fast, for that to not happen, that you keep getting hits, then obviously then it's just worth, like, playing it safe. And then, like, oh, you waste a shot or two. Well, it's way worse to get hit. Consistency above all else, right? And that's another thing. People tend to, like, feel the need to implement things too early. Probably because, like, this game, everybody's a fucking reset monster. Like, you can, I mean, fucking up Creek once really doesn't lose that much. It's hard to remember how much it loses, especially because it changes the marshmallow cycle, but it's really not that much. Obviously, I know, obviously, it feels like shit to continue, like, a plus 20 run out of, like, depression. But it doesn't have to be that much, like, you know, fucking up Creek, I mean, depending on, like, if it's just, like, the spin double jump across, you're probably losing, like, I don't know, like 12 seconds, all in all. But, like, at that point, your gold's probably not optimized, so you could still only be, like, plus 9 or something out of depression, and, like, that's really, like, plus 9 isn't really that bad. Like, I don't know. Like, there's just so much that you can get away with, like, not doing. Granted, I will say, like, again, with some of these players, I will look at the strats and I'll be surprised that they're not doing certain things. I think Sky's Time might have box state plank bungee. Wait, hold on. Oh, okay, I thought Sky's run was fucked. Cornbread isn't on OG, and because of that changes a lot of things. I think Chris does buffered bounceless. You know, there's just stuff like that, where runners tend to get so comfortable with a certain strat that they're not willing to. But then, I would also say, look at what other players around your skill level are doing, and sometimes even look at the top runs, and just see if you can pick up on little things that are easy. Because if you can keep implementing these easy time saves, possibly even free time saves, you know, you're willing to at least, like, try things. You might realize, like, oh, this is actually worth adding, or this isn't worth adding. But it can potentially postpone adding strats that you don't need to implement, and then your consistency is still rock solid then. You know what I mean? Finishing runs as well. And obviously, if the run dies in early game, that's a little different, but if it dies in, like, fucking, like, SCDA, it could, like, as long as you still have, like, a decent amount of time left in the day, I feel like it's worth, like, finishing the run. You know, you might get some fatty plank golds or something, and then it's like, wow, I just lowered my sum of best by a lot from plank and Dennis 2 or whatever, and then it's like that realization of how much time save you actually have off of the sum of best is also important, because it's like, again, like, if, like, let's say, like, going into a run, your sum of best is, like, 107, actually, that's a bit, like, let's say it's, like, 110-20, and you have, like, a 113, right? And the run dies, and it's like, I don't really want to finish it, but I guess I will, and then you gold SCDA, you gold Sunday, you gold Gesk 2, you gold, well, that one, you wouldn't be able to gold that by that much, but you gold, like, Plank and you gold Neptune. I know that's wishful thinking, but, like, your sum of best could drop to, like, 109.30, and it's like, damn. Like, now I'm playing, like 4 minutes off the sum of best, when originally I was playing 3 minutes off the sum of best. And it's like, I don't even need to add any strats, I can just, like, grind this now. With the same strats, and I can still, and this still, like, sometimes you can even get, like, golds, that gold by a lot, but you're still like, damn, I'm surprised it golded by that much, because, like, I made mistakes, like, I made, like, noticeable mistakes. Another like, time saves will probably get discovered, like, as you're improving your time, so sometimes you can just easily, quickly implement something that you would have already been doing anyway. But yeah, that's, I know this video is all over the place, but I just, you know, add stuff when you're getting it, like, quite consistent in runs, but also, like, look for the easy time saves as well. Have an eye for that stuff, check other people's runs. Sometimes it's okay to, you know, what's the word? Sometimes it's okay to downgrade your strats. It's a good idea to finish runs, it's a good idea to make pace splits, if you're familiar enough with your route. Certain things are obviously not worth doing, like fucking spewer boost. But yeah, that's basically the video. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.